Yo, welcome to the Dope and Tape Show, episode 162. Thank you so much for coming and hang out with us. We are sponsored by, I'm sure y'all hear about it all the time since y'all come and hang out with us, but it is Fire Tech, and I believe in Fire Tech, and I love Fire Tech, and I have used it for not nice head prep, but I know people who have, and they've had lots of success for it. I've used it for just learning about new things that, for example, I've been in fire sprinkler inspections for about a decade, and I wanted to learn more about fire alarm, but my contracting company that I was employed with, they wouldn't put me on fire alarm because they said I got paid too much and I needed to go work and make money instead. So I got a fire tech course, and I wanted to learn. I learned on some fire alarm. I did about 2 courses, learned a lot, and it really helped me. So it's one of those things, you take an initiative on your own to do those things.
Five Guys
So
is good, Florencio. Welcome.
yeah, so
Thank you for
thank you
joining.
so much for coming to hang out with us. Uh, we have 2 discounted classes with Fire Tech. One is the Fire Pump 2 class, and then as well as their first Spanish class, which is going to be on fire alarm. So very exciting for the first Spanish
Big
class.
Country, what's up? Thanks for joining.
And we have Kalli here
Hey,
from
buddy.
Kentucky, right?
Well, I technically live in southern Indiana, but yeah, our plant's in
Okay.
Louisville. Yeah,
So you're like right on the corner, I guess, or you're in
yeah, we're
Southern
just yeah,
Indiana and then you drive over the border to go to work.
yep, just right across the river.
Okay, I got you. Well,
What's up,
close
Garrick?
enough not to mess that up. Let's just say I'm right. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
close enough.
Yeah. So on the Dope and Tape show, our industry is very male dominant. So we love to share and showcase the women that are killing it and show that women can come into our industry and do really well, like yourself. And your perspective that we're kind of get into tonight is new. We haven't discussed uh, manufacturing yet, like at all. So I don't know anything about it. I don't think Bobby knows. We met in Ohio and we got to tour the factory there. But of course, y'all are freaking jerks and we couldn't, record anything. You're like, you can walk, but just don't record. I was like, why are we
Yeah.
here? We're here to, you know.
No photos. What up, Chad? No photos, no videos. That was tough. That's a tough thing when you're seeing such everything's just so awesome. I just want to film it. But
Yeah,
it was good to be able to just soak it in and not have to film it actually. At the end of the day, we talked about that.
It
I can
was
see how
good.
that would be a different experience of just
And the
like experience it instead of
It'd be able to
trying to capture
experience
it.
it and not have to
Yeah.
capture it. And then I was very impressed with the little headset.
That was
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
You could, we all had a headset on, and the tour guide, I guess we could all hear him right in our ear.
And I'm also glad that they split me and Bobby up because, I spent enough time with them. So it was nice to get a break.
Yeah, agreed. Different groups went different ways. It was awesome. We just like passing in the hallway, like, hey, what's up, dude?
Yeah.
Where are the Ray-Bans? The Ray-Bans are right here, Flo.
Yeah, mine's in the truck.
Oh, that's risky in Atlanta, kid.
No, now I have a parking deck. So
Oh,
it's
oh, you
it's a little
fancy. Oh, you
better.
fancy, huh? Everybody, thank you for joining. We really appreciate you. There's like 80 you guys jumping on super quick. Appreciate that so much. Hit the like button. Leave us comments like you are. Really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Thank you to FireTech.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Callie, so let's get into your history. So you graduate from high school and then what? Like, do you have a plan?
So yeah, so my I think it was my junior year, started doing kind of like, okay, going through the college visit thing. And so I grew up in Indiana, and got a invitation to go to Purdue to see it. And I always liked math a lot. So my dad was a math teacher. So I was kind of gravitated towards math. But I don't have the disposition to really be a teacher. So I was like, well, teaching's kind of out for me. But what else could I do with math? And so we went and kind of looked through that. I went on the college visit with my mom, and we kind of walked through everything. I was like, I don't really know what I'd do with a math degree. And my mom, and her infinite wisdom, infinite mom wisdom, she was like, well, they have a pretty good engineering school. Like, let's just go check it out. And so we went and listened to a presentation that they had, and just really liked everything that they said. And they actually talked a lot about the co-op program, and that was what really sold it for me, that I could go to school and then also go to work. And so you get kind of that balance of, getting to go do your learning part and then like getting to go and apply it all right away. And so like literally on that day, I decided I was going to Purdue for engineering, and then just had to decide like which kind. And had a really good two really good teachers in high school for chemistry. And so just from that, I was like, yep, I'm going to go to school and be a chemical engineer, and just kind of never look back. So crazy decision or not, but yeah, fortunately it worked out in my favor, and a lot of hard work, a lot of really fun nights, hitting books and everything, but yeah, survived through. And I ended up my freshman year got a co-op with Lubrizol. Actually started out co-oping on the additive side of the business, and did 4 rotations there. And I was like, this is great. I like love the company and everything. And I was like, but I want to see something outside of Northeast Ohio. So they had a spot at our Louisville plant, and came in, did my last co-op rotation down there, and just, kind of fell in love. And that's where, we do the temp process now. So bounced around the plant, and just now I'm the manufacturing manager there.
That's so cool.
But how long? So you started at what position? So you're doing, oh, well, you say co-op. Is that kind of like an apprenticeship in a way? Like in
It's kind of
our
like an
words?
internship, kind of like an internship.
Internship?
Yeah. So, so pretty much, I mean, I started after my freshman year. So I've had like basic engineering classes and like some calculus and chemistry or whatever. So really at that point, we started out in our, what we call a pilot plant up there. And basically I was just working as a chemical operator. So it was really fun. It was kind of like being in chemistry lab, but, a lot bigger scale, and getting to go and tinker around with the equipment, get to learn from guys that have been there, 30 plus years, and really kind of soak in that experience from the operator level of, hey, this is what it's like when you ask somebody to take samples and run this batch, and you got to, charge these chemicals and things like that. So you learn a lot about process safety, how to keep yourself safe, and, your fellow coworkers. Got to do a little bit of shift work too. So at our pilot plant, they have 3 shifts. So got to do 2 weeks on second shift and 2 weeks on third shift. So that you get a whole different appreciation for, working in
Yeah.
the chemical plant and everything on that. So just a really neat experience. And so kind of just immersing yourself really from the ground up, and, getting to see, getting to see how the whole process runs through. So so that was in our pilot plant, and then from there, so went back to school. And the kind of the good thing for me was I was really kind of like invigorated from that. Like, okay, good, like I've made the right choice. I really love this career, and I can kind of go from there on. This is what I want to do, and kind of gives you a little bit more fuel when you're going back. And hey, this, whatever subject this is, it's hard and sucks, and I want to quit, but no, I really like my job, so or my future job, so got to hit it hard at that point.
And then what was your first promotion? What was that to?
So when I started out, so actually when I like full time, when I came on full time at the Louisville site, I was in our back in the Vicar unit. So we make we have 3 different departments at our site, and so I was actually working in one of the units that makes coatings. So I was working as a process engineer in there. So got to do some little project work, process improvements, and we had some products that ended up being, we had a quality issue where they'd come out a little gritty, which obviously you don't want that with the coating. You want it to be nice and smooth. So got to work with kind of a cross-functional team. So again, working with our operators, because they're running the process, they know what's going on. And so I can kind of see like, hey, did you notice anything different on this batch? And working with them, working with our maintenance group, working with our quality lab, and kind of going through all those things to figure out what happened. And so kind of just like solving mysteries every day almost.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, from going from college and you were doing essentially an internship, how was that when you graduated to your first offer and then for you starting? Like, what was that process? What did it kind of look like?
Yeah, so going through the co-op program, it works out great 2 ways. So it's great for the student. You get to have all that experience. And so by the time I had gone, so I did 5 different co-op rotations. So it's basically like having 5 internships as I went through school. So it does extend your college a year, but you have basically a little over a year of experience when you're graduating. So it already puts you ahead of like your peers that you're competing against. But then also for that company, they've been able to really invest in you and kind of train you into like their perfect engineer mold. So, for the company coming in, they're like, okay, we know what we're going to get if we hire, Kalli to come in. We know what kind of worker that we're going to get. And for me, I was like, okay, I know what company I'm coming into and, kind of know there. So I actually had my full-time offer before I even went into my senior year of college. So I had a lot of fun my super senior year of college because I was like, I already have a job. I just have to pass. So
That's awesome. So then they didn't really at what point did they give you the offer letter? When you graduated or
no, so I actually had my offer going into my senior year. So
okay.
yeah, so I got a I actually was able to do an internship at a different company. So I had 5 co-op rotations with Lubrizol, and then I actually interned for another company because I had taken some online classes. So that last like summer session, instead of having to go back on campus and take classes, I had that available. So I was like, well, I'm going to do an internship and just see something in like a completely different industry. So I went and I actually did an internship in more like kind of the healthcare industry. And it was a lot of paperwork and a little, it was good in a lot of regards, but learned a lot from it. But a little too much paperwork for me on
Yeah.
that end
Now
of it.
with
So.
Lubrizol, what got you like keep going back to Lubrizol?
So my offer when for coming on full time was actually at our Louisville site. And I really loved the culture at the Louisville plant. We have a really good culture around continuous improvement and really engaged workforce around problem solving and everybody kind of jumping in and attacking the problems that we have and making us better every day. So that's something that I really enjoy about working there. So.
Yeah, that continued improvement, that's big. And I think, the reason why we bring FireTech as a sponsor on the show is because we want people to continue their education and keep improving. But I don't think on a grand scheme of field guys from contractors, like the contractors actually push that. I think it's on a national scale, and I wish contractors would do that, would push for
Yeah.
continued education and keep improving yourself and keep, supporting people. Like for example, I'm with Arco and I keep pushing them to do more and more and more and getting better and I tell them, um, especially the people that I hire, I tell them, hey, if you're ever thinking about leaving, let me know so I can help you. I can write you a letter and all that. We always want you to improve and grow and of course, we want you to stay with Arco. Arco is an incredible company, and the average tenure is, I don't know, I want to say like 20, 30, like 20 years, probably like average. Like people stay. But but I tell them, we always want to help you grow.
Oh,
And
that's
but
awesome.
I think it's lost in a couple of
I got
companies.
Lainey in the comments. Hey, Lainey, how are you?
Hey, Lainey.
Thanks for
Hey,
joining.
Lainey.
She says Lubrizol is super lucky to have Callie. She's phenomenal.
Oh, Lainey's so sweet. She's the best.
Now, when I was talking
Cowboy
about
says, "Hey."
tenure, like how long have you been in at Lubrizol total?
So full time, 12 years, 12 and a half, I guess. And then I have my like co-op time kind of counts as a year. So I guess 13 and a half years roughly.
That's a long time.
Time. Yeah, no. After I keep going, I'm like, no way, it can't be that long. And
I
so
think the
try to get them out of
national
it.
average is like 2 years for an
Wow.
employee. So
Really?
and then you said that you were with people that were there for like 30 years. So that's common.
Yeah, we actually, actually, we have one employee at our plant that's he celebrated his 50 service anniversary 2 years ago. I think he's going to be celebrating 52 years of service this upcoming year.
Oh my
So,
goodness. What
yeah.
does he do?
He's actually on swing shift and everything. He's in our lab now. But I first started working with him when he was in the Vicar unit, and so he was one of the charging operators and a phenomenal charging operator. And then he ended up going over to the lab, and so still works the 12-hour swing shift and everything, and coming in every day and killing it. So
Oh, wow. And what are some of the all of the positions that you worked throughout your tenure of that 16 years?
yeah, so I started out as process engineer in Vicar, and then not long after I was there, they actually announced they were doing a large expansion on the temprite side. So we were building on another line to our resin part of the process, so where we make the CPVC resin, and then we are also adding on an additional compounding line, actually the line that makes all of our Blaze Master now. And part of another building that would feed one of our other processing units. So when that was coming on, obviously it was going to be a big resource draw. So I was actually lucky enough to get the opportunity to go over and work on that project. So it's kind of cool. I actually got to work with the contracting company to actually build the line that currently runs our E-line process, which is where we run all of our Blaze Master powder. So
So did you help
pretty cool.
design it? Like how it's laid out?
Well, for the most part, the design kind of, so we have two other lines that are, it's not exactly identical, but it's kind of mirrored off of it for the most part. So really a lot of what I was doing was more on the kind of construction coordination. So working a lot with our production side and working with the construction side to make sure that the two could kind of both work together because we were literally building onto our existing tower. So we had, on like one side of the curtain, it was, go full tilt operation. And on the other side, it's like complete construction zone. And it was literally smack dab in the middle of all of our production areas. So, we had to have a path for like our forklifts to get through. We had to be able to get the railroad in and out. Just a lot of coordination and a lot of tie-ins with when we started actually getting to the point where we could hook up the water, hook up the air, hook up the steam and everything. So a lot of learned a lot about construction and learned a lot about installation and everything like that. And I at that point wasn't familiar with the template process, so I they actually pulled two of our operators off of the floor to help with the day to day and making sure that we literally went up and walked the tower every day, at least twice a day for that whole time during the construction. So just to make sure that things were going in place, where they thought they should be. And I'm trying to learn along on the process too, like, okay, what does this do? What does this do? And, what do we need this for? And
How tall was the tower?
So it's labeled as 5 floors, but it's technically 7. So, walking up and down those a lot every day. So because I always tell this funny story. So we worked a lot with so we use it's a freight elevator to get a lot of our like super sack and packaged raw materials up to the top floor because we utilize gravity basically to kind of do all the hard work. And so these guys were putting in the elevator, and they did elevator repairs and everything too. And they were telling us a story one day. They were like, oh, well, if you ever get called out for somebody being stuck in an elevator, they're like, even if you can solve the problem right away, like you don't. And we're like, what? And they're like, think about it. Like, if you have somebody stuck in an elevator, you get them out right away, they're going to come out and be really mad. Like, but if you make them wait for at least an hour, they're going to come out and be really grateful. So long story short, I don't ride elevators anymore. So
That's awesome. I love that one. Yo, Isaac, what up? It says the NAFCO delivery driver. Kid's driving from Nashville to Florida in a U-Haul. You the man. Laney has got a 7-hour delay. Oh. Is that good or bad? Did you plan that? I hate delays.
So 7
Like
hours. I don't
it's
know what time zone it is
she obviously didn't
where
plan
she
that.
is, but it's like 9:20 here. 7 hours.
7-hour
I hope they have a
delay.
hotel
Ooh.
there, 'cause that's where I would be going.
I'd just be nervous that like you're gonna make it to 7 hours and they're just gonna be like, yeah, well, another hour.
Well, so
Another hour. Just switch the flight, no? Where you at? Let me
I was
Google it.
with
Let me see if there's any
Southwest.
flights available for you.
The last time I did a Southwest flight, I was like an hour and a half with my wife at a restaurant, and they pushed it up. So then it was like 45 minutes before the flight, and I was like, oh shit. So I drove her to the house, grabbed my bag, went to the airport rushing, and then they moved it out an hour, and then they moved it out an hour, and then they delayed it, I think, another 4 hours while I was there.
That's just
Oh
gonna
gosh.
And
happen.
I was like, this is the last time I'm flying Southwest.
Yeah, Southwest is not like me. They're just, I don't know. The bags are tough with
Did you
Southwest.
see? I know this is very off topic, but did you see that? Um, not Frontier. What's the other one? Spirit.
Everything's
They went
delayed.
bankruptcy.
Yeah,
Oh no.
But
yeah.
Spirit's not too far away. If you look at their stock, I mean, it's
Mhm.
it's slowly declining.
It's
So
hard
I,
to
I
it's
would
hard to be a
feel.
small airline with the conglomerates, you know. I think there was a couple laws passed to where they couldn't like merge together or something like
I
that, which
wonder
is
if
it's gonna
JetBlue will
make them all
pick up
fall out.
Spirit. I
Pick
don't
up all the
know.
planes.
Or yeah.
Let me bring both my bags. It'd be epic. You go on a Spirit plane, like it's like 250 for me to get on that plane after
But
buying
do
the
you like
ticket. At
this?
the gate when I show up with my little rolly and my backpack, they're like, "No, you can't. You can't bring clothes on this plane." Like, what? What are you talking about?
But you did not like the Southwest seating thing where you sit anywhere.
No, I want to have my dedicated spot that I know I'm going to. I don't like that hunt. Everybody just lines the window and the aisle. The first people on, they're in the aisle and the window, and you're gonna be like, all right, like which middle seat do I want? You got to pick two people to sit between. That's a tough decision, you know?
No, I went straight to the back. No one wants
Yeah.
to sit in the back. I went straight. I was like the second row before the bathroom in the and
Yeah,
where
don't
the
don't sit in that back row because
no, not the back
the
row.
seat is like this,
Ugh.
and
Second,
the people in
second
front of you
last.
still lean back, and you're like pushed forward.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. But that's what I would do, man. And sometimes majority of the time, I'll get a full row.
I prefer Delta or JetBlue.
Yeah, I do Delta 100% now.
100%. Yeah, well,
Pretty
sometimes
much.
sometimes I gotta go where I gotta go. You gotta just, if you're going in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky, they might, or Tennessee, they're not gonna like maybe Delta don't go there, kid. I've been doing a lot of little planes.
Really?
Yeah, where it's like a one-seater and then a two-seater. Then I have to put my rolly bag underneath at the gate, and then my backpack like
Oh.
barely fits anywhere. Those little teeny planes. It's like a private jet with like
Well,
40
your
seats on it.
backpack is like another carry-on. It's ginormous.
It is.
You have it?
Yeah.
Oh, look at this, Callie.
So I should. I don't have my rolly bag in here. This is actually I got a few things out of this, but oh yeah, it's like
It's like another carry-on.
it's big.
It's the cheat code.
It is. That is the cheat code. I tried to switch, but everything is delayed. What is wrong? Is there a storm? You're stuck. That's why we're live. We're live for you, so you can watch, so we can entertain you. Turn us up. Tell the people next to you to join.
Yeah.
It is snowing here, even in Kentucky, so or southern Indiana.
I've never
So
seen
like a
snow.
light dusting.
I've never seen like real snow, and I'm cool with that. It was like in
Nah.
the 50s today, and I was like, nope, time to start doing trips to Florida.
Figure
Customers need
like
to see Brian, you
you
know?
see like after Valentine's Day when we got good ice and some good snow, you're gonna fly out for a weekend. We're staying on the ice for 48 hours.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
No, you'll be all right.
Yeah,
I got zero gravity chairs. We bundle up. You'll be fine. I got a little heater. It's fun. It's fun. We'll bring hot
just
dogs, fucking
just
cheeseburgers,
talk to
and
you all night, huh?
no, we'll be just yanking fish through the hard water, kids, like an 8-inch hole, and we'll just trout, bass, pickerel. You don't even know what's gonna come out. It's exciting. You gotta
All
try
right.
it, dude. You gotta try
Do I
it.
have to get clothes for that?
You probably would need some gear.
How much does that then cost? Can I do like a Walmart version
You probably could, yeah.
and then
The
return it?
bib I got is like down to negative 50 degrees or something. Striker
You need
ice,
like
baby.
a rent the runway, but for
Yeah, that would be
uh
cool. Like you just need like
camping
a
gear.
a real heavy duty bib,
Yeah,
waterproof
I'll go to
bib.
Nordstrom, get all this stuff, and then return it when I get home.
Nordstrom, he says. No, you gotta go to like Dick's Sporting
It'd be
Goods,
like a
dude. You're not
REI
going to
or a
freaking Nordstrom.
Oh,
I'm
sorry,
taking you
my
on the
bad.
ice. He's got his Gucci bag. Yo, what up, Daryl? Where you been, dude? Daryl Rich. Yo, this dude's been MIA. I thought you just disappeared into the abyss of Canada.
Yeah, he stopped coming.
Hey,
I actually feel offended. I called him out on it today.
did you?
I sent a
That's why
message.
he's
Yesterday was
that's
his
why he's
birthday.
here. Oh, happy birthday, dog.
Yeah, that's why he came, because he felt guilty because I came out and he hasn't been here for a while. And
Hour and a half from Georgia. Isaac's on his way, dog. He's passing through.
stop by for some arepas. I'll cook some up.
Don't fucking tell him. He
You,
will.
you can have a couple of my. I'll cut you off a piece of my tomahawk.
He's got the big U-Haul just loaded to the brim. It's got everything we need in that. Come on, Isaac.
That's wild. That's wild. All right,
Eight,
all right.
six
Back
inch.
on track.
Sorry.
Back on track. So, out of all the positions, so I think we were going over your
Oh,
position.
I would say I only made it
Yeah.
to the second one, maybe. So yeah, so anyway, yeah, so we did the big expansion. And so I worked on that project, which was really neat. And then after that, I had kind of a brief stint. I think I lasted about 4 months as a process engineer in compound. So I was responsible for all the compound lines, going through and all of our different. So at that point, we were kind of able to color code our lines to where our Ecoline process was only running the Blaze Master, so just the orange powder and everything. And so it's 3 powder lines and then the extruder line, which makes all the pellets for like the elbows and tees and fittings and everything. But then after that, it was like about 4 months, so brief, very brief stint as a process engineer. But after that, I moved back over to Vicar as area leader. So kind of my first foray into more of
Was
like
that
the
your move
management realm.
back? Why was it so short? You were like,
Um,
not my thing.
no, not well. It wasn't just because it was very busy that time. So that was the first time that we had all 4 lines, kind of up and running all together and everything. So it was just a lot of, well, not that we've really improved a whole lot on some of our scheduling part, but we we're changing, doing a lot of stock changes from time to time, still trying to get the feel for how we run all 4 of the lines and everything. So it was just, for me, it was not a lot of actual improvements that I got to make. It was just really kind of trying to keep up with the day to day. And it was just, as for the parts of the job, my job that I like being able to get more involved with the actual improvement part of the process. So it was kind of just like, I feel like I'm doing the same thing every day and not really like moving the needle at all. So
Completely
it's just
understand
like,
that.
yeah, so I just felt like I was like treading water all day, like, still trying to figure everything out. So, and then when I moved back over to Vicar, was for promotion at that time. So, so I got kind of my first step into really more of a leadership role. So I was responsible for, the operators and, kind of adhering to our run plan and making sure we're meeting orders and safety, of course, and quality and all those kind of things as well. And so I was in that role for a couple of years, and then we had some more kind of movements around the plant. And so the spot opened up over in Resin for air leader, and so I moved over there. And that was kind of for me the last piece of the 3 departments that I really like needed and wanted to grow in. So I actually got to stay. I actually was probably in Resin for the longest of any of my positions. So really got to learn a lot about resin. So that's kind of the first part of our template process. So we get in PVC and chlorinate it to CPVC. And then from there, send it up to the compound unit. It's a very simplified version of it, but from there, send it up to the compound unit to further compound into either powder or pellet before it leaves our plant to go out and make the pipe or make the fittings and teeth.
The powder makes the pipe, and the pellets make the fittings. Come
So
on.
now you're always looking for improvements, but like we were walking the facility over in Ohio and they were checking this and checking that and double checking this and going over here and having someone else look at it too with a flashlight or under a microscope and testing and testing. Like, how can you even improve from the process that you already have of all these double checks?
So a lot of what we're kind of look for is really one of the big things that we started doing in resin was really a lot around like sustainability. So we have our process that's been in place for a long time, but our process can be really water intensive. So can we make our product using less water? Is there opportunities where we can either reuse water or use less water? Is there opportunities where we can reduce our electrical consumption? Because obviously that makes our processes more efficient, but then also from a sustainability standpoint, we're all trying to be a little greener, right? So just what can we do to, reduce our overall usage and make our products, um, better in that regard, that, we can make them more efficiently, utilizing less resources, and be more sustainable overall.
That's
How
I'm sure like
how
look
do
at
you stay enforcing safety?
Hmm?
You said that you were doing safety before that, maybe enforcing some safety. Like that's one of the hard ones, enforcing safety, no?
Oh, so really a lot of our stuff is, as we're looking through the process, we're always looking for, where do we have safety hazards? Where do we have, near misses? We have a really great near miss reporting system. So, and a lot of operators that are really, and operators and really everybody at the plant that's really engaged in safety, and want to make sure that, that everybody goes home, the same way they came in, and can go home to their families, and kind of all that. So, do a lot of work with, actually when I was first, I think I started, when I was at first as a process engineer. We have a plant safety committee, and so got involved with that. And one of our other women leaders at the time, Alice, she was actually I think she probably had at one point every position ever in our plant. But at that point, she was our HSES manager, and also HR, I think, for a brief period of time as well. But she had approached me, and she's like, "Hey, would you be interested in leading like a committee that would go around and do JSAs?" So that's job safety analysis. So I said, "Yeah, of course." So I'm eager to learn what is a JSA and all that. So basically, it's kind of, you go through and look at a job, and kind of break it down into step by step. And as you're going through the steps, you identify, okay, what's the hazards at this point? And then kind of dovetailing off of that, okay, we have this hazard, but what things can we do to mitigate it? So is there some kind of engineering control that we can do around it? Is there some kind of administrative control? Is there a PPE that we could do to kind of keep something in place? Is there a way that we can change the procedure? So instead of doing this first, you can do this part first to make it, more inherently safer. And so, but you have to have like that cross-functional group, right? So you have to have the person that's there, does the job, knows the job. Somebody there from safety who can be like, okay, well, hey, let's consider doing it this way. Somebody from maintenance is always great, because they can say, well, hey, I can make you a tool that can do that a lot easier. And so it's kind of neat that you can kind of get all these, kind of experts, in one area, and go through the process. And so that's another way that we can make improvements to, make our processes safer as well.
Yeah, that's big. That's great to have a like a safe culture. Like
and and that
everybody's in on it.
they support it. And yeah, right, they're all with it. I mean, when you're with these people every single day, it ends up being like a family thing, and you don't want
Absolutely.
anybody to get hurt.
No, never. Daryl says that I can thank you because he's here right now. Daryl, what happened? Did we make you mad? Come on, dog. What? I miss you, dog. Where you been? You must. Brian must have made you mad. What'd you do to him, Brian?
I don't know, man. Oh,
Well, welcome back, Daryl. It's good to see you in there.
welcome back.
Isaac did Blaze Master for 4 years out in Vegas.
Thanks.
I have
Thank you,
only
Isaac.
used Blaze Master. I've never used anything else.
Well, why would you?
I got the training from Blaze Master. I used Blaze Master. I don't know anything else.
Very good.
Uh,
Well, I appreciate that very much.
You're welcome.
I
I
also had the
had no
Blaze
idea I was
Master. I had
supporting
that
you.
Blaze Master training as an apprentice years ago, but I have used the other guys a couple times.
Who is?
Some different contractors, Sorry.
Yeah, right. Now, at your plant, there is a lot of women that are in leadership roles, right? So how did that come up? Was that it just happened, or I mean, that's something you don't see a lot.
Yeah, so that and that's something that I've really liked about the Louisville plant. Like I said, when I came in, there was Alice, who was always, kind of that strong, that strong female force that, honestly, I looked at her, and she was able to really have a strong and authoritative, I can't say the word, authoritative voice and everything. But she did it in a way where she didn't alienate people. So it wasn't, she came in and she was just tough. And nobody liked her. It was quite the opposite. It was, she was tough, and when Alice said something, everybody's like, "Yep, we're doing it that way because Alice said so." So, she just kind of carried herself in this way that, she just had this kind of natural following, and so she's something that I have modeled, or hope to have modeled, how I want my career to progress as well.
Was she
So,
part of the tour?
No, Alice is retired
Oh,
now.
okay.
So yeah.
Okay, because I don't remember meeting Alice. I was trying to think about. I was like, did I meet her? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, she retired a couple years ago now. But yeah, she's someone that I've always kind of wanted to model myself after. I actually still I have her lab coat for when I go over to the Vicar side, so I wear it in her
Oh, that's
honor.
cool. That's so
Oh,
cool.
keep it going. I love that.
Absolutely.
That is
So,
very
but
So,
cool.
yeah, but we do have a
yeah.
we call it, so it's Lubrizol. We love our acronym, so it's called the WIL chapter. So it's Women in Lubrizol Leadership, and so we have our own group at the Louisville site. And so actually my coworker Maureen actually founded it and leads it for us. And so we get together. Basically, it's anybody, and technically the men can join too. They haven't chosen to, but okay. But we kind of get together. We have once a month meetings, and just talk about leadership topics. We actually have a book club where we go through and we'll read a chapter and we'll use that as kind of our like guiding post for our discussion for the month, and just talk about challenges we face. Not just as leaders, but also as women leaders too. That some of us are in leadership positions, some of us are in aspiring leadership positions or process engineers where you're kind of a leader, not necessarily by title, but by the work that you do, and kind of in having that operator following and everything. So, but yeah, it's just a really neat group, and it's a really it's a when people come to our plant and they see that, especially young women, it's really encouraging for them to be able to say like, hey, I see a group that a community that would support me as well.
Louisville.
Yeah.
Louisville. I've learned how to say that. I said that wrong my whole life up until recently.
Yeah, I don't judge.
So could you take us through the process of making Blaze Master? I know that must be like a lot, but for the
Sure.
people who don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so we'll start in the resin process. So we get PVC in powder form in by rail cars, and we get chlorine in. And so in our reactors, we have what we call like a slurry makeup. And so we make up our slurry, and so we put it into water, and that's just for it to go through our reaction. And then we feed the chlorine in there, and meter it into the specified recipe amount. And then once it goes through the reaction, basically from there, it's CPVC and HCl. So the rest of the part of what we call the wash is just getting all that acid out of the system. So getting it to where it's a neutral, back to kind of that CPVC water mixture. And then from there, it's just getting it dried so that we can send it up to our compound unit. So we have what we call a fluidized bed dryer. So it's basically just this I don't know, probably as big as this room at least, if not bigger. But it's this giant dryer, and it's got hot water coils, so kind of like a radiator almost. And so we're sending
Okay.
hot water through there, and so you get about 85% of your drying through the hot water coils. And then we also have hot air that's coming in and kind of what we call fluffing the bed. So it makes it the powder kind of a fluid as it's going through the drying chambers. And then once it gets to the end, it kind of goes through this serpentine part as it gets that last kind of bit of drying before it goes over and goes through a screener to get out any overchlorinated particles or millings or any other thing that could be in there before it goes to our QC bins. And then we do run QC tests before we
What's
send
a
the quality. I'm
QC?
sorry, quality control test.
Oh, okay.
So basically making sure that it's meeting all of our
And
specifications.
that's when the lab looks at it.
Yep. So we take
Almost in either like a powder or a liquid
it's a
form.
powder. Yep, it's a powder at that point. So
Okay.
yeah, so we have a little auto sampler that's pulling off. So as the process is going through, we have an auto sampler that's just pulling off little resin samples as it's going out through the day bins. And then so whenever we switch over to our other day bin or day silo, we take a sample from that auto sampler over to the lab, and so it's really a representative sample of the full 12 hours of that run, or that portion of the run, before we send it up to our compound silos, to where it gets further processed. So compound, so when we're going through, they don't like when I describe it like this, but it makes an easy analogy. It's kind of like baking a cake. We have our resin going in there. We have our other components that are going in there to make it the specified qualities, whether it's for BlazeMaster line or for our Corzan line or FlowGuard line. You're adding in all the different things to make it, give it all those special properties, including pigments. So obviously you're adding orange pigment for the BlazeMaster. And it goes into this high intensity mixer, and it has these giant blades, and a big 500 horsepower motor, that's just putting in a lot of work to it. And so basically from that part, it's just kind of a mechanical process. So just think of all those components going in kind of like into your cake mixer, and big giant cake mixer, but spinning it up to reach a certain temperature, and then we drop it down into a cooler to cooler it back down. So and that's basically just so it doesn't clump up when it's either put into the silo or into the package that it's going out in. Again, going through a screener, and then out to our, we have silos that go over the rails. So we can either send our material out in a rail car or a bulk truck, or like a big octagonal box. So, but yeah, everything that's leaving our plant, especially for like BlazeMaster, it's just an orange powder as it's going out. And then when we send it to our partners, they are going to be ones extruding it into the pipe that you all will use to, do the installation from there.
And that's kind of where we were in Ohio, where they're
Yeah,
creating
yeah.
the
So
pipe.
Yeah, they had that big,
exactly.
I think, octagonal box filled with plastic, and they were putting it into a big vat that was just constantly making a 1-inch pipe,
But when it
or maybe it was
arrived, I
3/4.
mean, it had all those other like labs, so they test it again when it gets there, right?
So, well, yeah, so that's actually just like the R&D part of it. So that's where we can send samples up, so they can, like, if we do like an experimental batch or an MA batch or something, we can send them a box and they can see, okay, how does it perform on our extruder there? So none of what they're producing up there is actually going to be what's going out and getting put in, like installed. So that's basically just all for testing up there. So yeah, they're able to do all the testing on the impact and the stress test and all those different kind of components as it's going through.
That's extensive.
Yeah, and it held a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
It
yeah, that
held
was crazy, right? I kept waiting, like I because
it
like backing
held a
up, like, oh
lot
my
of
gosh.
pressure, right? It was like, and I forget the exact number, but I
I
mean, it
forget
was
the number. I don't even know if we can say.
I don't
What is it? Can you
100,
say what it
200,
normally holds
300,
to?
400,
Yeah, he just kept
500.
counting up.
You just kept going. I'm like, oh my God, 600, 700. Everyone in the room was just like, what, what? Yeah, that was an awesome tour. Great time.
Guys in the chat, do y'all have any questions about Blaze Master and how it's made, or anything that about using it or your experiences with it?
I was
We
doing
got the
two.
person to ask.
I was doing 2-inch Blaze Master in the New England winters, gluing mains, and it's cold. The larger pipe, and it's cold, and it was like your forearms and wrists like are so strong after doing that. 'Cause it's on a hot day, it's very easy to put it together, and a lot of times it will separate itself. You'll have to hold it, or it will push itself out of the fitting. Doesn't do that in the cold. When you glue the pipe, you glue that fitting, and
You
you try
almost
to
had
put
to
it like
warm up your
it
solvent.
gets stuck. You gotta just be ready to get it in there, and you get your quarter
Did you
turn.
ever
It's
go back to warm up your solvent? Like warm it
Yeah,
up?
you would keep a heat lamp in a smaller gang box. We would put insulation in it. We would keep the glue in there, and you'd switch your glue out like every hour. It would just be clumped up. You got to keep the glue warm. We were like heating the glue basically.
Yeah, you
And
had
then
to.
now they have like warmers. You can get like a seedling warmer. If you were gonna like You get like a seedling warmer. It will hold it at 70 degrees, and you can put the cans on it. It's much safer than putting like a heat lamp or a heater in the gang box with a bunch of.
Is that like a little like candle
Oil.
warmer?
Yeah, it's like it's almost like a mouse pad that will like just keep itself at 70 degrees.
Now you had a special way of installing that, like I didn't install it that way. And can you explain that, Bobby?
Oh, it's hard to explain, but the process that they would describe it as we were putting the fittings on backwards. So typically in a sprinkler system, when you get pipe that's fabricated, it comes with the fitting on the end. The fitting's never on the beginning of the pipe. It's always a thread. The thread goes into the main, and then your fitting's over there. The next piece, the thread goes into that fitting, and your fitting's down the end. Well, with the CPVC, we would always leave the first place. The first piece would be blank. We would have it. We would fab it on site. We'd pick the lowest guy on the totem pole. We'd make a cut sheet out of the print that was sent out, and then the lowest guy on the totem pole, in some cases was a girl. They would fab the whole job, and they would glue the fitting. That first fitting would get glued on the beginning of the second piece. And this would allow people to do branch lines alone with prefab. Because if we glued the fitting down there, you would be gluing at the main, and you would have to level the T down there. You would need another person. Well, now you're gluing the T at the beginning of the second piece. Hanger's already up. Stab it, glue it, level it yourself. Next piece, stab it, glue it. And so we say that we would fab it backwards, and people think that I'm starting at like the last elbow and working my way in on the lines. We just like we kind of put the fittings on the next piece. And it's a hard adjustment for a lot of people, especially like the older fitters that have been doing this for 20 years, and you just switch up the whole tempo of it. But once you get it, it's so fast. It's so fast. Anything that was little or an elbows, like we wouldn't really glue those on. Like you would do that as you built it. But for branch lines, for the most part, you put that fitting on the beginning of the second piece. You always put the fitting on the beginning of the piece. Makes it go quick. Oh, we got a lot of comments real quick. In Vegas, we used it in houses, but the Romex can't take it. What does that mean, Isaac? Please do not use open flame near solvent cement. Thank you. Yeah. We'd, we'd have that gang box hot, have a couple of heaters in there and a heat lamp, a whole bunch of cans of solvent in there. Well, that's the other thing is we all call it glue. It's not a glue, right? It's a solvent.
Yeah,
It
I've
really
always
just,
called it glue, and everybody I've worked around called it glue.
yeah.
That's what we do about it.
So a one-step solvent. In Vegas, we use it in houses, but the Romex can't touch it. Oh, I got you. Yeah, yeah. That's the worst when you have all the Blaze Master, all your whole system's built, and the electrician comes in and he throws his first couple wires over one of your branch lines, and then he proceeds to like pull the whole run like over your line, and it just creates like wire divots.
Oh,
They're
nice.
so used to doing it over the steel pipe. Damn Spockies. That's it. No more questions. Well, that's Laney. Laney, you only got like 6.5 hour more delay.
Yeah, I know who to call tonight if I get bored, huh?
Yeah,
Something
So,
fun.
what you doing?
chilling in the airport.
You know, the Blaze Master thing was pretty cool for me because as an apprentice, I put it in on like a 43 floor in a high rise, which is super high end condos, like extremely high end. I want to say like 5 million for a floor. Yeah, and later, I want to say like 4 years later, I inspected that building and I went up
Oh,
to
that's
that
cool.
floor and I was like, man, I put this in. Like it was such a cool experience for me
Oh,
to
she's
be able to
boarding
do that.
now. Oh, you've been on a 7 hour delay. I gotcha. Well, that's good. Woo!
Yay, Lainey gets to go
You're
home.
boarding. Let's go.
So, what is your position now, currently?
So I am now the manufacturing manager for the site. So I have responsibilities basically for all three of the manufacturing areas. So temprite resin, temprite compound, and then bicar latex coatings as well.
What does that look like on a day-to-day basis?
Chaos. So, and I also have responsibilities for our logistics, like our local supply chain group as well. So yeah, so I'd say pretty busy. So my if I had a typical day, how I typically start out. So we have our what we call MDI meetings, so managing daily improvements. So it's part of our continuous improvement system. So basically, it's a daily check-in with operations. So obviously, on each of the lines, we have targets, production targets. So, hey, we expected to make this many charges. Did we make that many? Did we make more than that? Did we make less than that? And then if we made less than that, then you kind of have, okay, well, what happened? Let's dig into it and kind of understand that a little bit. And then that's where we drive our like, okay, here's where we need to be focusing our problem solving time on, what that issue was, whether it's, hey, it was just something where had an issue with this pump or whatever, had a work order, fixed it or whatever, or hey, we keep having this issue, and we need to go do something, with the code, or we need to do something with, our operating procedures, or what have it from there. So, kind of start my day. So, first one I have is back in resin. So go over that, kind of do my check in there. Go over to Vicar, do our check in there. And then go over to compound, do our check in there. So at that point, I kind of know like, okay, everything in the plant, like what's going on in the different areas. Then I go up and check in with my logistics group. And then kind of from there, it'll be, okay, what else is on the docket for today? So, whether it's, you know, I have a couple of sustainability groups involved in. So I talked a little bit about sustainability earlier. So we have a temperate sustainability group that we meet like, well, it's been less recently, but we usually meet like once a month or so on that. And so kind of talk about in each of the different regions that we operate in, what kind of projects do we have around that? It's been, it's been something that we've been working on for a couple of years, and something that really, not just within Lumbersol, but really on the, kind of the national and global stage, really kind of taking fire with that. So, a lot of efforts around there. Have some meetings around like kind of more strategic things around the plant, like, okay, what things do we have that we're working on as far as, what do we expect our production look like for the next month, so we can kind of plan out, what kind of maintenance activities are we going to have, what holidays are coming up, what do we expect our demand to look like, and production volumes to look like, and kind of in that realm. I could have some kind of safety like JSA or something to go to. So just it's kind of it could be a multitude of things that I could be working on. So then it gets into
that
this.
phone's just ringing.
Yeah, exactly. So we get into this time of year, so we start talking about kind of talking about development and PCMs and that kind of thing. So career management, everything. So making sure I'm kind of touching base with all of my direct reports, and making sure they're getting the support they need. Going through capital budgets. Gosh, yeah, could be a lot of things throughout the day.
Laney says technically per code nothing can be touching or hung on sprinkler pipe, whether it's CPVC or not. But yeah, electrical wire has incompatible plasticizers in it, and definitely don't want it touching CPVC. Communications cable, on the other hand, is typically all right. See, I didn't know that. I thought like no, we don't want no wires. That's usually how we do it in the field. Like
That's super
don't let
technical.
nothing touch it.
Now I know. That's cool.
Incompatible plasticizers. It's very anytime someone says anything like that, it's the same thing with copper and iron. Like you can't have brass up touching against iron or black steel. Like they're incompatible. You have to have the right hangers. It's the same thing. It's just incompatible plasticizers. Man, I should let Ryan read that. I should have let Ryan read that.
So it's kind of cool. So you kind of went through the same thing as an apprentice when they start. An apprentice is trying to learn what's going on. They have no idea. And they're just trying to gather this information. Oh, this is how this works. Oh, this is how this works. And then when an apprentice is like, oh, I want to be a fitter, it's when now you know how all these things work. And now you can be a fitter. And then the fitter says, oh, I want to be a foreman. And then it's when the fitter starts to see the bigger picture of, okay, this needs to be here, this needs to be here, this is how this operates, this is the flow of the construction site, this is how we handle problems, and then he becomes a foreman. And then to go from there, you can see the big picture, and then you start to learn and see problems ahead of time, and
Mhm.
be more efficient on like a future standpoint. And you kind of did that same thing just in the factory.
Yeah,
So
it is essentially a very similar process that, that we all kind of go through, right? So yeah, that's a good comparison.
yeah,
Work your way up the ladder.
Yeah.
and you can look back at that and you can be like, okay, before I wouldn't see that, but now I see it, and
Mhm.
then, and a lot of times, like for in the field, when I was ahead of someone, let's say in just experience, I would tell them like, you don't get it yet, but you will,
Mhm.
you know?
Well, we got a fun fact from Daryl. The swimming pool chlorine room shouldn't be in the same room as the sprinkler room because everything gets destroyed. I bet.
I've never seen that actually. I know those backflows are a mess.
Yeah, anything around a pool is just all like corrosion.
And some, yeah. But changing those heads above an indoor pool that's a task.
Yeah, we had to add sprinklers to above a pool that had like a 60-foot deck. They bought the staging that we were using was like hundreds of thousands of dollars a month rental over the pool. So they would make a dance floor that you could just work off. We didn't even need ladders.
Oh wow.
Crazy
That is
scaffolding.
crazy. Yeah, I
Thanks for
did
the fun fact,
scaffolding, but
Daryl.
it was never as fancy as that. So what's next, Callie? What do you have your eyes set on with Lubrizol and Blazemaster?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. So really for the role I'm in now, so I've been in so I came into the temp manufacturing manager, so just had resin and compound about 2 years ago, and then this past year added on the bicar side of it. So for now, I'm kind of just really kind of feeling out things and where I'm at. But my eventual goal is to be the plant manager at my site. Um, so I'm on a pretty good track there, and from there, I don't know. So we'll see.
Well, that's quite impressive, and we all really enjoyed hearing your story,
Oh, thank you.
and it's definitely something that we'd never seen before. And just like when we were touring everything in Ohio, it was just a really, I don't know, I want to say like, I don't know what word I would use. I mean, it's something we never seen before, but it was all really cool stuff that we didn't even imagine that existed, or the processes were like that.
Yeah, Cleveland rocks.
We had fun.
We did.
Yeah,
I was like Ohio. Like what the hell? What the hell's in Ohio, dude? It's like, and then bam, it's like
yeah.
this. It's like this. It's a big city out there actually.
Yeah.
No, it was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I think even for me going through on the tour, because I actually hadn't even been through most of the like the temporary R&D and technical offices up there and everything. So for myself coming up from the manufacturing site, I'm just like, okay, we're just pumping out the pounds every day and everything, and I don't think we necessarily get the full picture of like, hey, this is all the additional behind the scenes stuff that's going on, to really support how we make our product and um all the different testing and things like that that go into it to make sure that it's um going to meet the standards and keep people safe and everything. And then shout out to Lainey because she coordinated. So 2 weeks ago at our site, she came to visit with some of the other people from the temp group, and she actually called up her friends at the National Fire Sprinkler Association, and they brought up the side by side trailer, and so we got to do a side by side burn at the plant. And that was something that was I kind of seen the videos online. I was like, oh, this would be kind of cool, but like actually being there and like seeing it live, I was like, it was really impactful for not only myself but like everybody that got to come out and see it at the plant. I think it was really impactful to see like, okay, the work that we're doing is really impactful, and this
This is
is
what
why
we
it's
do.
important. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we save
So that was
lives.
really cool. So
Saving lives.
yeah, so it was really neat.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. This is a lot of fun. So
We're hoping to hang out again soon. Maybe
of
in the
course, yeah.
next, I don't know, decade. There'll be another
Yeah,
party. Laney,
definitely.
do one, do another one next year. Let's do it
Yeah,
an
Great.
annual thing.
yeah.
Yeah, let's get Lainey on here too. So come out and join us.
The 41st. Yo, check this out. That's it.
There you go.
Brian didn't get one. I like they made one only for me specifically because I found my it was pretty cool. They shut the whole machine down and wrote my name on there. I like appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Everybody, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. I'm refreshing right now to see how many of you liked it. This is gonna be my new thing that I do. 6? All right. There's 8 of you in here, so we can definitely bump that up by 2. Come on. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you guys. Daryl says I'm back, baby, and
Let's go. Welcome back, Daryl.
I can't help but imagine the guy from The Hangover. What's the guy? The Wolfpack guy. He's
Yeah,
like, I'm back, baby.
I'm back, baby.
41-year celebration. Do it, Laney. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Callie.